She thought her fate was sealed, a trophy for a predator's dinner table. Her wrists were bound in sleek metallic cuffs, her head tilted defiantly upward despite the weight of chains. The holding chamber stank of sterility and silence, and the soldiers who passed by her cell never looked into her eyes. But this human, he did. He stepped in without armor, without weapons, without fear. And when his eyes met hers, something shifted. It wasn't disgust. It wasn't hunger. It was something far more dangerous. It was recognition. She hated that his gaze lingered. Hated more that hers returned it. She was Virelia, born of the Crimson Brood, a daughter of the Hunt Mother herself. Her species, the Enkari, were bred for dominance. They didn't just conquer, they consumed. Their sacred rituals called for the tasting of enemies to inherit their strength. She had performed it many times. Felt the still beating hearts in her hands. She had always been the devourer. Until now. Now, she was the one behind the glass. Her arms hung limply at her sides, manacles biting into her wrists. The smooth titanium walls pulsed faintly with containment fields. Beyond them stood the human Elias Rain, they had called him. A diplomat, allegedly. Yet he wore no ceremonial sash, only a long dark coat and weary eyes. His voice, when he finally spoke, was a whisper wrapped in thunder. "You're not what I expected." Virelia tilted her head, baring her fangs in a cruel smile. "And you're exactly what I expected. Soft. Curious. Weak." Elias stepped closer. "You think curiosity is weakness? I think kindness is death," she replied, the words cold and sharp. "And you're reeking of both." He didn't flinch. That unsettled her more than if he'd struck her. She had seen soldiers, executioners, even kings flinch under her gaze. But he didn't. Instead, he pulled out a small datapad. His fingers trembled slightly, not in fear, but hesitation. She recognized the subtle micromovements. This wasn't just a report to him. "I've been assigned to document the psychological profile of prisoners prior to cultural sentencing," he said. "You mean before I'm served as someone's ceremonial appetizer?" she sneered. His jaw clenched. Not at her words, but at the truth behind them. "I requested this assignment," he said quietly. That made her laugh. "Why?" "Hoping to see what makes a monster tick before she's flayed." Elias met her eyes again, longer this time. "No. I wanted to see if the monster was even real." For a heartbeat, silence echoed louder than speech. She looked away. That shouldn't have stung. But it did. He pulled over the magnetic stool beside the cell and sat, just a meter from her barrier. No weapons, no shield. Just a man and a question. "Why did you let them take you alive?" he asked. That froze her. She hadn't expected that question. Not from a human. "I didn't let them," she said, slowly. "I lost." "But not before you killed 12, he murmured, reading the datapad. "And yet, you could have taken a 13th. The final strike was yours. But you hesitated." Her silence was all the answer he needed. Elias set the pad down. His eyes were different now, not analytical, not strategic. Soft. Searching. "You saw a child among them," he said, quietly. "Didn't you?" Her body tensed, not from guilt, but memory. A flash of small eyes. Innocent. Unblinking. "I don't kill the young," she said. "That doesn't make me merciful. It makes me selective. But it makes you different from the others." She didn't respond. He leaned forward. "Tell me, do they know you have a name? Or are you just subject 4B on their list?" She scoffed, though it hurt. "Virelia." He repeated it, perfectly, softly. Her name had never sounded like that. It made her stomach tighten in ways unfamiliar and unwelcome. "Why do you care?" she asked finally. "Because," he said, eyes not wavering, "I don't believe you were born to be someone's meal." Her breath caught. And she hated that it did. The silence between them stretched, delicate and sharp. Every second in that tiny space carried weight. "You know what your people would do to you," she said after a long pause. "For this. For even looking at me like that." "I do. And still. I'm still here." The door hissed open behind him. A superior officer glanced inside, saw him too close, too comfortable, and narrowed his eyes. Elias stood, breaking their connection with reluctance. "I'll be back tomorrow." "No," she said quickly, before she could stop herself. "Come tonight." He hesitated. Her voice lowered. They moved the execution window without notice. "If you're going to waste your time on a dying monster, don't waste time." He nodded once. The door closed behind him. And for the first time in years, Virelia sat in the dark, not thinking about blood, but about a human's eyes. And how they saw her. He came back that night. Not in the crisp diplomat's coat. Not with the sterile datapad. Just him, Elias, wearing a dark tunic, sleeves rolled, and a silence that pressed against the walls like fog. The guards didn't follow him this time. Either they were too bored, or too used to underestimating kindness. Virelia didn't rise from her corner when he entered. She was crouched low, her claws digging shallow trenches in the cold floor, her mind an unpredictable storm. Why had she asked him to return? Why did her chest ache when she imagined he might not? "Still alive," he said gently, stepping closer to the barrier. "I should ask you the same," she murmured, watching him from under lowered lashes. Elias exhaled, half a laugh. "You're not the only one people here don't trust. You're being watched." "Probably." He glanced up at the security orb in the corner, then back to her. "But not right now. I looped the feed." She raised an eyebrow. "I didn't know humans had that kind of courage." "Some of us are slow learners," he said. "Takes near extinction to remember we're more than just uniforms." She stood and stepped closer to the barrier, just a breath away. It shimmered faintly between them. "I've been catalogued like a specimen," she said, voice low. "Measured. Skinned in their imagination. But you speak to me like I'm a person. Because you are. That's dangerous. So is lying to ourselves." Their eyes locked again, his, a deep storm gray, hers, molten amber. The room was silent except for the distant hum of containment fields. "I'm not like you," she whispered. "I know. I've tasted my enemies," she said. "Bathed in their blood. I've killed because it was sacred. You can't change what I am." "I'm not trying to change you, Virelia," he said softly. "I'm just trying to see you." Her fingers touched the edge of the field. The energy hissed faintly but did not repel her. "You're going to get yourself exiled," she said. "Maybe," he replied. "But I'd rather be exiled for seeing the truth than stay safe in a lie." A silence bloomed between them. She stepped back, pacing the small cell like a caged predator. But the fury in her movement had faded, replaced by thought. By emotion. He watched her. Every line of muscle. Every scar. Every flicker of doubt behind her eyes. "You were injured during processing," he said suddenly. She stopped. "I didn't want the injection. They said you resisted. That they had to subdue you." "I spat in their faces," she growled. "They shattered a rib for it." His jaw tightened. Without a word, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small medical capsule banned for prisoner use. Black market tech. He slid it beneath the barrier, where the field momentarily weakened for sterilization. She picked it up slowly, surprised. "You could be arrested for this," she said. "Then let's hope you heal quickly." She stared at the capsule, then at him. "Why?" she asked again. "Why are you doing this?" He hesitated. The words he was about to speak would not be bureaucratic. Not professional. Not safe. "Because," he said slowly, "when I look at you, I don't see a weapon. I see a woman forced to be one." She swallowed hard. And for the first time, her hands trembled. "I never wanted to be feared," she admitted. "But I had to be. To survive." Elias stepped even closer to the field. His fingers hovered just near hers, on opposite sides of the shimmering light. "You survived," he whispered. "Now what?" The emotion that rose in her chest wasn't rage, or hunger, or pride. It was grief. Grief for the life she'd never been allowed to live. She leaned her forehead against the barrier. "You think you're the only one haunted," she whispered. "You humans talk about war like a chapter in a book. We live it. Breathe it. And then we wear the masks of victory because it's easier than remembering." He leaned his head against the barrier too, opposite hers. "We lost billions," he said. "And I lost her." "Ha! My sister. She was stationed on Tyler 5 when your fleet hit." Virelia stiffened. "I didn't press the button," she said. "I know," he replied. "I was there, though. I still know." Their breath fogged the invisible wall between them. So close and yet untouchable. "You hate me," she said. "No. You should." "I don't." "Why?" "Because," he whispered, "I think you're the only one here who understands what I've lost." She closed her eyes. Pain danced across her expression. She reached a clawed hand toward the barrier again. This time, he did too. Their palms nearly touched. "I should hate you," she said. "But I don't." "Then don't," he replied. For a long moment, there was no war, no chains, no guards. Just two broken people staring through the smallest crack in their cages and finding each other. A sharp buzz shattered the silence. A warning alert. Execution prep, 32 hours. Virelia looked at the flashing light overhead. Elias turned to the control panel. "They've accelerated the timeline." "Of course they have," she said bitterly. "They always do." He turned back to her, jaw clenched. "Then I need to move fast." Her eyes widened. "What are you talking about?" "I'm going to get you out of here." She laughed. Not mockingly, but desperately. "You'd betray your species for me." He didn't blink. "I'd betray anyone who thinks you belong on someone's plate." Her mouth parted in disbelief. Her body frozen. "Don't," she said. "Don't do this. I'm not worth it." "You're wrong," he said. "You're the only thing in this place that is." And then, without thought, without fear, he pressed his lips to the barrier. And though she couldn't feel the warmth, she closed her eyes and kissed him back. The cell was darker now. They'd dimmed the lights ahead of the execution ceremony, a tradition meant to calm the nerves of condemned subjects. But Virelia wasn't calm. She was pacing again, her breath shallow, her pulse unsteady. Not because she feared death. She had made peace with that long ago. No, now she feared losing something she never thought she'd have. Him. Elias hadn't returned since the kiss through the barrier. That last look in his eyes haunted her, determined, desperate, full of something no one had ever shown her. Hope. She didn't dare believe in it. But gods, she wanted to. Then came the faintest sound, a hiss. Her ears twitched. The cell's lower panel cracked open from the outside. A sliver of blue light bled into the room. A human hand reached in and pulled back the maintenance hatch. And there he was. Elias. No uniform. No ID badge. Just stealth gear, a satchel, and panic in his eyes. "You came," she breathed. "Not much time," he whispered, motioning. "This is the only gap in the surveillance cycle." She stepped forward, but stopped. "There's a kill zone," she said. 20 meters of motion-triggered stun arrays. "I've looped the sensors. We have 4 minutes. After that, deadlock." Virelia didn't hesitate again. She dropped to all fours, slithered through the maintenance shaft with a grace that reminded him just how deadly she still was. When she emerged on the other side, her eyes glowed faintly in the dark. "Which route?" she asked. He tossed her a black cloak. "Disposal chutes lead to level 6. There's a decommissioned launch bay. My ship's on lockdown, but the old ventilation tower still runs on analog switches. I can open it from the inside." "You're sure?" "No," he said. "But I'd rather die trying than leave you here." She didn't say thank you. There wasn't time. They ran. Down through steam-lit corridors and between humming generators. Virelia moved like smoke. Elias followed, his chest pounding, not from exertion, but from every moment they spent in each other's orbit. Somewhere deep in the compound, alarms began to pulse. "Too soon," he gasped. They moved up the rotation, she snapped. "We have 2 minutes at best." They reached the bay. The metal door was half-sealed, rusted from disuse. Elias slammed his palm against the manual override. It groaned, then opened with a screech. Inside, everything smelled of dust and oil. The tower loomed behind a row of crates. A narrow ladder extended to its base. Virelia froze. A guard. Single unit. Standing near the ladder, unaware. I'll distract him, Elias began. But she moved first. Fast. Silent. Her claws pressed against the man's throat before he could blink. Sleep, she whispered. She struck a pressure point. He collapsed. Elias stared. You didn't kill him. I said I don't kill the young, she murmured. He's barely older than your sister. Something in his face softened. They climbed. Each rung was a countdown. The tower swayed as wind from the outer atmosphere whistled through its seams. At the top, the analog panel blinked softly. Elias punched in the override code. The hatch hissed open, and for the first time, real air hit Virelia's face. Cold. Clean. Free. Below them, sirens screamed. Footsteps echoed. Go. Elias urged. But she grabbed his wrist. You first. No, he said. If I fall, you make it out. Not the other way around. Their eyes locked again, and in that moment, she knew this was no longer about survival. It was about belonging. He slipped through the hatch first, landing on the escape pad mounted to the tower's outer ring. She followed, her feet slamming down beside him. The landscape stretched before them, black dunes, scattered ice, stars so bright they cut the sky like diamonds. Where, she began. My contact's waiting just beyond the ridge. He owes me a favor. And if he betrays you, then we fight. She looked at him. I'm not worth this. You are, he said. You're not a monster. You're the first real thing I've felt since the war ended. Her voice cracked. I don't know how to be soft. Then be sharp, he whispered, brushing a strand of her hair behind her ear. Just stay. Her claws traced his jaw, careful not to cut. He leaned forward. Their lips met. This time, no barrier. No energy field. Just them raw and trembling. In that kiss was everything unsaid, fear, fire, forgiveness. A sudden whine echoed through the night. Searchlights. Dropships. They ducked behind a rock outcrop as red beams scanned the ridge. They'll find us, she said. Then we keep running. We can't run forever. I don't need forever, Elias said. Just enough time to rewrite the ending. She touched his chest. His heart thundered against her palm. The sky lit up, bright red pulses chasing across the horizon. Virelia turned toward it. Toward the enemy. Her voice was steady. Then let's make our own war. The air was sharper beyond the ridge, the kind that sliced through silence like memory. Virelia's cloak fluttered behind her as she ran beside Elias through the ice-blown valley. Searchlights swept above, but they ducked and dashed between jagged rocks, ghosts beneath a broken sky. They were hunted. They were alive. And, for the first time in either of their lives, they were together. A flicker of blue pulsed ahead. Elias grabbed her arm and pulled her down behind a boulder. A small stealth shuttle sat half hidden in a crevice, its engines quiet, almost apologetic. At its hatch stood a hooded figure, tapping a control pad with anxious fingers. Collars, Elias called, breathless. The figure turned. You brought the damn predator. She's not the predator here, Elias said. The people in that facility are. Collars glanced at Virelia, his jaw tight. You know the price on your head just doubled, right? Then triple it, Elias replied. But open the door. Virelia stood tall, daring Collars to challenge her with more than words. He didn't. The hatch opened. They climbed aboard. Inside, the cabin smelled of oil and carbon shielding. Barely room for four. No weapons bay. Just speed, stealth, and desperation. You've got 2 minutes before patrols scan this sector, Collars said, pulling the door shut. Strap in. Virelia didn't move. She was staring out the viewport at the sky. You okay? Elias asked, stepping beside her. She nodded once, slowly. I didn't think freedom would feel like wind. He smiled gently. Feels real now, doesn't it? Too real, she whispered. The shuttle lifted, shaking as it peeled away from the planet's gravity grip. The moment they passed through the upper atmosphere, a ping echoed in the control panel, Federation lock-on. They've spotted us. Collars shouted. We don't need to outrun them forever, Elias said. Just long enough. He reached into his satchel and pulled out a secure transmission node. Virelia watched, puzzled. What are you doing? I'm broadcasting. Broadcasting what? He looked at her. Then hit the switch. A moment later, across dozens of public alliance channels, the stream began. Footage spliced together her bruised face, the blood on her cell floor, the logs of her mistreatment, and her voice. From their recordings. Her words, spoken in anger and vulnerability and defiance. I wasn't born to be feared. I was forced to be. Collars gaped at the screen. You're uploading classified data? I'm uploading the truth, Elias said. Virelia stood frozen. You're making me a target. No, he whispered. I'm making you a symbol. On every diplomatic comm feed across the region, her voice echoed. A prisoner. A soldier. A woman. And a soul the galaxy was trying to silence. They'll come after us, she said. They already were, he replied. Now, we make it count. Suddenly, the tracking signal dropped. The lock-on failed. Virelia blinked. What happened? Collars grinned. That transmission bought you more than fame. Public channels mean watchdog drones, neutral parties. If the feds try to fire now, they risk a violation. The council won't cover them. Elias exhaled slowly. They were clear. For now. The shuttle slipped into deep space. The stars spread out like scattered jewels. In the quiet hum of the craft, they sat shoulder to shoulder, breathing, shaking, blinking at the fact that they had survived. But the silence between them wasn't heavy anymore. It was warm. Later, when the ship settled into a distant orbit around a nameless moon, they stepped out together onto the icy ground. The sky was violet with distant nebulae. No weapons. No guards. Just them. Elias took her hand. She let him. Her fingers, once claws, once soaked in blood, now closed gently around his. I was supposed to be someone's meal, she whispered, looking up at the sky. My fate was sealed. I was raised to kill, to take, to conquer. And now? She looked at him. Her voice barely a breath. Now. I want to be held. He stepped close. Then let me. She leaned into his chest, and he wrapped his arms around her. Her breathing slowed. Her eyes fluttered shut. They stood there for a long time, as time itself felt like it paused. I don't know what happens next, she said quietly. We make it up, he replied. Together. Will they come for us? They'll try. And if they do, we keep running. Or we stop. Wherever you want. She tilted her face up to his. Why did you save me? Elias smiled softly. Because when I looked at you, I didn't see an enemy. I saw everything I'd been missing. And what's that? A reason to feel again. She laughed then, a sound so rare it startled even herself. Raw, short, but real. And in that laugh, he knew they had already won. Not the war. Not the politics. But the moment. This moment. 2 hearts. 2 worlds. And 1 impossible chance. Virelia kissed him again. Not through a barrier. Not in fear. But as herself. And for the first time, the universe didn't feel so empty.